Okay, so we looked at this data in class. We have age of a person and the frequency of a person doing a particular thing. So that means there's one person that's 18-year-olds, there's two people that are 19-year-olds. So our stem and leaf plot is going to look like this. We talked about this in class. Thus, our histogram is going to look like this. So I have my frequency and I have my age and I have my intervals. So what do we have to do in order to make a box and whisker plot? Well, we talked about what a box and whisker plot looks like. It looks like a box with two little whiskers. And each of these pieces on this plot have very particular pieces of information. They have the smallest piece of data, the largest piece of data, the median of the first half, and the median of the second half. So let's talk about finding that data. So the first thing we have to do is we have to find the least piece. So the least is 18, and the largest is 43. So that's obvious. So what I have to do in order to make this stem and leaf plot is I have to create a number line. So I created a number line on my graph, on my paper. You're going to do it on your graph paper and probably be a little bit neater than me and more equal in your spaces. Needless to say, on my number line I find 18, 15, 16, 17, 18, 15, 16, 17, 18, and I make a dot. Okay? And that's part of my whisker. Okay? That's the least piece of data. Then on 43, I'm going to make another dot. And of course, this is going to be above the line itself. So I have this. So I have part of my whisker so far. The second thing I want to do is I want to find my median. And we remember how we found our median. We had 19 pieces of data. So that means the 10th piece of data is going to be our median. So where exactly is our 10th piece of data? Our 10th piece of data is up here somewhere. So here's our first piece, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. So in this frequency is where my median stands. So that means at number 31, at 31 years old, that is going to be my median. So I'm going to look at my graph and my number line, and I'm going to find 31. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw a line. I'll do that with a pen. So I'm going to draw a line there. So that represents my median. Now we have to find these other two pieces, the median of the first and the median of the second. So what does that mean? That means if the median is my 10th piece of data, and I'll use my fingers, if my median is my 10th piece of data, this guy, then what is the median of those first 10 pieces? Well, it's the mean of the 5th and the 6th piece of data. Does that make sense? So if I have 10 pieces of data on one side of my median, right, that means the 5th and the 6th pieces are the middle of that middle. So it's the first half of the first half. The first half of the first half. So I want you to think about what that might be called while I find that number. So where is the 5th and the 6th piece of data? Well, it's right here, because here's the first, the second, the third, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. So the 5th and the 6th piece of data is 22. So I'm going to find 22 on my number line. So the 5th and the 6th piece of data happen to be the same piece, so we don't have to take the average. And so that's 22. Okay, and I'm going to give you the name for that in a second, but I want you to think about that it's the first half of the first half. So with my ruler, I'm going to find 22 on my number line, and I'm going to draw a line that's about the same size as the line here because I'm going to make a box. Now I have to find that last piece of information. And so where do you think the median of the second half is going to be? Well, it's going to be the 5th and the 6th piece of data going from this direction. Okay? So here's the 3rd, the 4th and the 5th, and the 6th. So the 5th piece of data going from the other direction, from the greatest down, is going to be 40. And the 6th piece of data is going to be 36. So the mean of those two pieces of data is 38. And that's what this next bar is going to be on. So 38 is here. I'm going to draw my line here. And watch what I've just created. I've just created my box. And now I have my whiskers. And so now I have my box and whiskers. And of course yours is going to be much nicer than mine because you get to use a rule, you get to use a pencil, and you get to erase things. Okay? So the last thing I want to leave you with is, what is this called? What are these halves of the halves? Well, think about it. It's the first half of the half. This is a quarter. These are called quartiles. So this is your first quartile. This happens to be your second quartile because it's the middle, the median, and here is your third quartile. So that's some new language for you, but this is how you create a box and whisker plot. So you need 5 pieces of information. The 5 pieces of information you need are the least, the greatest, the median, which is called the second quartile, the first quartile, which is the first half of the first half, and then you have the third quartile, which is the first half of the second half. Now I know this, the first half, oops. Okay, I know this is a lot of new stuff, but I want you to just think about what this all means. Think about it. If it's the first half of the half, then that's going to be the quarter. Half of the half is the quarter. Okay? And if you have the half of the second half, that means you have the third quarter. Think about it. Think about the language of it. And I want you to try it on your own.